15th century France. Amidst the smoke and fire of the Hundred Years' War, there was a name once etched into history as a national hero. A man of immense wealth who fought alongside the great Saint Joan of Arc and was appointed Marshal of France at the young age of just 25. That man was Gilles de Rais. Yet, only a decade later, this very hero stepped onto the scaffold, cursed by tens of thousands of people. He was accused of kidnapping, torturing, and murdering hundreds of innocent children within his isolated castles, becoming the real-life inspiration for the horrifying folktale of Bluebeard. For over 500 years, Gilles de Rais has been crucified in the pages of history as one of the world's first recorded serial killers. But was all this horror actually true? Or was this war hero merely a pawn in a brutal political conspiracy designed to strip him of his colossal fortune? Today, let's reopen the case of the most shocking trial of the Middle Ages. To understand the tragedy of Gilles de Rais, we must first look at his background. Born into one of the most prestigious noble families in France, Gilles inherited a vast fortune, including dozens of castles stretching across the wealthiest lands. Following his glory on the battlefield with Joan of Arc, Gilles retired from the military and began a life of unchecked indulgence. He spent money like water on lavish, self-produced theatrical plays, maintained an elite personal guard, and showered artists with tons of gold. Within just a few years, this reckless extravagance pushed Gilles to the brink of bankruptcy. His family was so alarmed that they petitioned King Charles VII to issue a decree banning Gilles from selling any more of his lands. Desperate to restore his collapsing financial empire, Gilles plunged into the dark arts. He turned to alchemy and recruited Francesco Prelati, a man who claimed to be a priest, but was actually an alchemist specializing in rituals to summon demons in exchange for gold. It was from these secret basements, where occult rituals were performed, that horrifying rumors began to spread through the peaceful villages surrounding Gilles de Rais's castles. Children, mostly poor young boys, began to vanish mysteriously without a trace. By September 1440, the patience of the church and local authorities wore out after Gilles boldly arrested a cleric right inside a church. A warrant for the arrest of the Marshal of France was issued. The subsequent investigation and trial held in Nantes exposed details that defied human imagination at the time. Dozens of witnesses, including Gilles's own loyal henchmen and the parents of the missing children, took the stand. They detailed how Guise's accomplices lured children into the castles, where they were brutally abused, tortured, and murdered as sacrifices to a demon named Baron. At first, the proud marshal fiercely resisted, refusing to recognize the authority of the ecclesiastical court. However, after being threatened with gruesome physical torture and excommunication, the most terrifying punishment for a Catholic at the time, Gilles de Rais broke down. He fell to his knees in tears and delivered a graphic, bone-chilling confession in front of the public. He admitted to all the barbaric crimes committed against hundreds of children. On October 26, 1440, Gilles de Rais was hanged, and his body was cast into the flames in Nantes. For centuries, the case seemed closed. But entering the 20th and 21st centuries, historians began raising profound doubts. Was that confession truly reliable? Or was Gilles merely the victim of a meticulously orchestrated smear campaign? Let's look at the men who directly put him on trial. The proceedings were spearheaded by the Bishop of Nantes and the Duke of Brittany. Remarkably, immediately after Gilles was sentenced to death, his remaining vast lands and estates were not returned to his family. Instead, they were instantly carved up and divided between the Duke of Brittany and the very judges who condemned him. Furthermore, historical researchers have pointed out massive anomalies in the case. No physical evidence. Not a single bone or body of a child was ever found at any of Gilles de Rais's castles during the investigation. The court's entire case rested solely on testimonies. Confession under coercion. Gilles de Rais only confessed after the court threatened him with brutal torture and excommunication. In the deeply religious mindset of the Middle Ages, excommunication meant eternal damnation in hell, a fear far greater than death itself. The disappearance of witnesses. Many key witnesses and accomplices of Gilles were swiftly executed immediately afterward, making any future cross-examination or reopening of the case impossible. In 1992, a panel of leading French lawyers, politicians, and historians held a mock trial at the French Senate to re-examine the case of Gilles de Rais. The panel ultimately declared Gilles de Rais innocent, concluding that he was the victim of a religious court conspiracy aimed at asset confiscation. However, this verdict carried no official legal weight, and historians today remain deeply divided. Whether he was a real-life monstrous predator or a tragic victim of filthy medieval political games, the story of Gilles de Rais remains one of the darkest and most captivating chapters in human history. The ultimate truth was likely buried forever beneath the ashes of history over 5 centuries ago. But whenever one looks at the cold stone walls of the castles in Brittany, they can't help but wonder, is the soul wandering these ruins that of a wrongly accused hero or a bloodthirsty monster? What do you think about Gilles de Rais? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next mysterious history story. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.